Hi, I'm Sandy Genovese, and today we are making a gift for Dad for Father's Day. And you can see we have a couple of options. This one is a mug. This one is a plate. They are incredibly easy to do, and yet there's some things that Dad would really use. This one and this one were both done with paint pens, but two different brands, and I'll show you the brands so you can see for yourself what works best for you. It does say that they're not for contact with food. So if you're going to do a plate, and we'll see how to do this one, but you think that you might want to put a cupcake or something on there, it's not difficult to take just a regular clear page protector, and you can even see the black line. What I did was just took a Tupperware or a plastic bowl, laid it down, traced around it with a permanent marker, cut it out so that I have this clear circle. Now I can set this on top of the plate. I could have done it bigger if need be, in order to keep the food from coming in contact with the paint that are actually in the hearts, but it's clear so you still can see the design through that. The other option is, you or your kids may make this for Dad so that he can put his keys or his change or things like that on this desk. So maybe it's not going to come in contact with food, and then you don't need to worry about it. When it comes to doing the mug, this is done with paint also. It's just that we're going to do it with vinyl. I think, however, we should start with the plate. So let's go ahead and move some of these things out of the way. And you can see what I did was I die cut out of vinyl 2 heart shapes. Now I brought the sheets of vinyl and I put them back in the container because I realized otherwise it just looks like a red and a white sheet of paper. This way you can see, I bought it at the craft store, and it's self-adhesive vinyl, and it works great for anything glass or ceramic like this. So I've cut the hearts out. I'm going to save the hearts because I'll probably use these hearts for something else, but they're reusable. These are the ones that I used for the plate that I just showed you. So what I'm going to do is peel off the backing, and I'll set this here so we can see what it looks like when it's finished. But I'm going to just arrange these so that the design is how I want and where I want. And then I'm going to go ahead, peel off the backing, and fasten it onto the plate. And it's just a little bit easier. I'm going to keep one edge so that it's easy to pull back up, but all the edges around where I'm going to paint, I make sure that it's stuck down nice. If you've done any stenciling, it's kind of the same idea. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Peel off the backing, decide where I want this to sit on the plate, fasten it down, and I purposely, just to make it easier when it's time to pull it up, I purposely try not to have it really stuck hard in one little corner because that'll make it easier to pull it up. All right, now the tools, the paint. If you look at the table, there are choices. The one that I used for this project was the Sharpie, but if you look at the table, you'll see these are Sharpie paint pens. It's not a regular permanent Sharpie marker, and I have them here in my hand to show you. Here's the paint pen, and here is the marker. The permanent marker, it will mark, but the more times you wash it, it will wear away. The paint is more permanent. So the instructions tell you to shake it, and the first time you use it, the nib is white. You have to pump it a few times to get the paint to come down to the end. And then I'll just test it and make sure. Yeah. And so at this point, all I need to do is just draw. So I'm going to take this. This is so much fun to do. Your kids will love doing this with you. I'm just going to start on an edge. And I want those lines to show, the streaks. So that one went that way. So I think this time I'm going to have this one go this way. And I'm just trying to make sure that I go right off the edge so you can see the edges of the heart when I pull it off. Really fun. And look, when you peel these off, how cool is that? And if there are any places where it's snuck underneath, I'm going to show you what we do for that as well. So then let me pull this one off also. And like I said, I'm going to be able to reuse these many more times. So I'm going to save my little vinyl pieces. But if you have a spot, like see this little spot right here, you can take polish remover and a Q-tip. And I'm going to just dip the Q-tip into the remover. And I have to do this so I can come at it this way. And I can pull off while it's damp like this. See how easy it is? I can see one more little spot over in this area. Got a little away from me. But you can make any of those corrections. And then you just need to let it cure and let it dry. So cool and so quick and easy. And if you do it with your kids, they will love it. For the mug, now you could do the same technique, the same thing on the mug, but I thought I would try this other brand of marker. This, if you look at the table, you can see these are the markers that I used for this. And instead of making what's felt kind of like stripes, I made like dots. If you're a fan of George Seurat and the whole pointillism technique of painting, this is kind of a cool way to do this. You could talk to your kids about that as well because it's fun. It's the same thing. It has paint inside. I've kept these in the container because this particular brand gives a lot of instructions on how to make it dishwasher safe. So I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget any of it. What it says to do is to apply it in the pattern that you want and then let it air cure for 4 to 8 hours. And then you put it in the oven and you bake it at 375 degrees for 40 minutes. You open the door and you let it cool in the oven with the door open. And in order to make a dishwasher safe, you need to bake it within 4 to 8 hours of when you applied it. None of those steps are difficult at all. So I did this without thinking about how the person would use it. I don't want the lips of the user to come in contact with the paint, so I've done it down a ways. But even safer, since this would be how a left-handed person would use this, we're going to now decorate the other side of this mug because this is where I would put it if I were giving it to a dad who was right-handed. And that way it would always be on the front and the lips wouldn't be anywhere close when they go to drink like this. So once again, look at the table. And I even showed you, I brought you my mistake to show you. I use an old sticker backing sheet. In fact, this one, I still have a film strip on this. And I used it to place my letters. Initially, I picked this style of letter because I liked how it looked, but these are vellum letters, and when I did it on the mug, the oil-based paint, it would slide right underneath, and it just slid under and made a smeary mess. Well, while it's wet, it's very easy to just wipe it up and start over. So I learned you do need for the lettering to be a vinyl lettering, not a paper or a fabric lettering. So you can see this sticker sheet even says vinyl, and this, if I pull it out, you can see this was the DAD that I used, but I found at the hobby store lots of other choices. Sometimes it says on the back, I noticed this one on the back tells you, somewhere here it says that these are vinyl. Sometimes it doesn't say that they're vinyl, but these are vinyl. I pulled them off and used them, and you can tell from the texture that they're vinyl. So create the pattern that you want on the sticker sheet. That way you can have it look exactly like you want it to look, and then stick them together so that they'll all peel off together in one piece. So all I'm going to do is curl it away. Notice this is even the one I used. I'm reusing the one I used before for this as well. So I'm going to get it loose, and I'll try to do this. You know, I don't know if I can do this upside down. I'm going to have to turn this to me for just a minute in order to see positioning of this. So if I want this, I purposely have the letters not lined up straight so that it won't look necessarily crooked. But you can see how I've placed it. And then I'm going to stick it down nice and tight. It's going around a curved surface. So what I discovered is, just like with the hearts, there were a few places where mine went through, and it tended to be where I had the letters overlapped. So this time I'm going to try doing a little tighter. We won't have time for me to do the whole thing, but we'll do a chunk of it so you see how well this works as well. You always have to shake to get the paint all mixed up, just like you would if you were painting out of a paint can. And make sure it works. And what I'm going to do is just create dots, but in order for the pattern to be obvious, I do want to go right close to the edge so that it's clear that it's the inside of the letter D. So when I think I'm close to the edges, then I'll go back. You can put fewer or more, depending on the look that you want. I think I'm going to do a tiny bit more. And then I'm going to come out here and I'll just do a portion out here. You do the same thing. You go right along the edge. And then once you've got the edge done, then build out as much as you want the design to go. And it's fun. You can make this outer design, you know, as free and loose, or you can make it seem somewhat like a rectangle if you want to. But free and loose, you don't have to worry about if lines are parallel and straight. You would continue to do the whole thing, and then when it's dry enough that you can get this in here without smudging any of the paint, then you're going to pull this back off. And then I'm going to go ahead, these letters I didn't even use, so that's not going to matter. And then this one I will peel. You want, before you peel it off, you do have to make sure that the paint, remember you're going to have paint all over here, so I let it set for just maybe a half hour before I peeled it off. And then you can peel off. You can see how you start to get that design. And once again, see how there's that one little spot? I can take my Q-tip with the polish remover and just hit that one little area. You can use that to clean up if there's any little spots. Let's go back to look at the one that's all the way done. And then of course at this point, once you have the whole thing done, you need to follow the instructions on the container in order to do the baking, to really set it and make it dishwasher safe. So, you know, personalizing a mug or any ceramic piece for Dad, it makes a super gift for Father's Day. Remember, I love hearing your comments. Be sure to share us with your scrapbooking and your crafting friends. You can always like us with a thumbs up on Facebook. Don't forget to sign up for these free weekly videos. However, if you want access to hundreds of past videos, or you want to be able to print a color instruction sheet, then you might want to consider joining the Gold Club. Bye for now.